Hello students of grade 2. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm your mentor, Miss Ali, and for today's video we will be learning from Unit 4, Fiery Beginnings, and the subtopic is called Myth. So let's get started with the class. So coming to our very first subtopic, what is a myth? Myths are generally stories that are very old and they usually explain something about the world. People are often left curious about the frightening or mysterious natural forces and are left with questions about the creation of Earth, stars, earthquakes, and many other natural occurrences. So since there were no scientific explanation for these natural forces, storytellers would narrate stories to people by word of mouth and make up different stories to explain how our world works. They answers questions about the existence of nature and origin of man. It explains natural events, for example, how the world was created, or the cause of earthquake, or where did stars and fires come from. Myth stories also explain about how humans are punished when they disobey God. The characters in myth stories are usually not from these worlds, they have supernatural powers. The characters are usually god and goddesses. It also involves the use of magic by god and goddesses. Good people are generally awarded, while bad people are often punished. Now, to have a better understanding of myth stories, let us look at this video from the channel Gitanjali Kids, which explains the story about Prometheus, who stole fire from Zeus, the god of sky and thunder, and gave it to mankind.
Many years ago, there lived two brothers who were not like other men, or like the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. The name of the elder of these brothers was Prometheus, which means forethought. Prometheus was always thinking of the future and making things ready for what might happen tomorrow, or next week, or next year, or even in 100 years' time. The younger was called Epimetheus, which means afterthought. Epimetheus was always so busy thinking of yesterday, or last year, or 100 years ago that he never worried at all about what might come to pass in the future. Prometheus did not want to live amongst the clouds on Mount Olympus. He was too busy for that. While the gods were spending their time in idleness, drinking, he was planning how to make the world wiser and better than it had ever been before. So instead of living on Olympus, Prometheus went out amongst men to live with them and help them, and he quickly noticed that they were no longer happy. He found them living in caves and in holes of the earth, shivering in the cold because there was no fire. If they only had fire, said Prometheus to himself, they could at least warm themselves and cook their food, and after a while, they could learn to make tools and build themselves houses. Without fire, they are worse off than the beasts. Prometheus went boldly to Zeus and begged him to give fire to the people, so that they might have a little comfort through the long, dreary months of winter. "I will not," said Zeus. "Not one spark will I share with them. For if men had fire, they might become strong and wise like us, and after a while, they would drive us out of our kingdom." Prometheus didn't answer, but he had set his heart on helping mankind, and he did not give up. As he was walking by the seashore, he found a tall stalk of fennel. He broke it off, and then saw that its center was hollow. "Mankind shall have fire, despite what Zeus has decided," he said to himself. He carried the stalk with him as he began a long journey to the top of Mount Olympus. And with that thought, he snuck quietly into Zeus's domain and stole a spark from Zeus's own lightning bolt. Prometheus hurried back to his own land, carrying with him the precious spark hidden in the hollow center of the plant. When he reached home, he called some of the shivering people from their caves and built a fire for them and showed them how to warm themselves by it and use it to cook their food. Men and women gathered round the fire and were warm and happy and thankful to Prometheus for the wonderful gift which he had brought to them. One chilly winter evening, Zeus gazed down from Mount Olympus and noticed fires burning cheerfully at the hearths of men and women in every village across the land. It did not take him long to realize that Prometheus had disobeyed him and given fire to men. Zeus was very angry and ordered that Prometheus be chained to the side of a mountain to suffer there for all eternity. And there Prometheus stayed, thinking of the future, happy in the knowledge that he had given fire to men.
Now, this story about Prometheus helps us to explain the existence of fire and how fire was given to mankind. We see that this story also involves the character of gods. So, this is basically how the stories are carried out to explain the existence of nature in the form of a myth. With that, we come to an end for our class. Thank you and stay safe.